Welcome to the Interviews Podcast.
Prima attenzione, Bobo anticipato, palla vagante, mette giù, recova, il tiro,
Welcome, Interisti, to episode 161 of the Interviews Podcast, the official podcast of SempreInter.com. We are here for the post-match reaction of a heart pounder. I mean, it was always going to be that against Sassuolo at home. It finished 2-1 to Inter, the hosts, at the San Siro. Goals from Dimarco in the 14th. Muharemovic own goal in the 81st. It was taken away from Carlos Augusto after the game. And Walid Chadira 3 minutes later in the 84th minute. Not without its moments at the end of the game that were definitely nerve-wracking, but nevertheless, Inter picks up their second win in Serie A. 2 wins, 2 losses. The table still doesn't look great, to be honest, but you know, what are we, 3 points behind Napoli? They have a game in hand, 3 points behind Milan, 4 points behind Juventus. So, you know, coming into this game, we knew it wasn't going to get us a lot closer, which made it all the more important for us to pick up a win and get a win over Sassuolo, honestly, like just mentally to do that, even though I'm nervous to play them again. As always, I'm one half of your co-hosting duo, Alessandro Rafa, joined here by Johnny Paterno. There's a lot for us to talk about. I think like on an individual player level, there's definitely some things that I want to get into, but let's just start with this performance as a whole. I felt like this was the game where the absence of the curva and just the lack of, like, I guess it wasn't a sold out game at the San Siro. I felt like it really did translate onto the pitch. I haven't heard it sound like this in a long time. What did you make of both the performance and the stadium factor? Because, you know, we were at home.
I mean, honestly, I thought that we had the game pretty much in control. Of course, until that late goal that was given up by us. Typical Berardi fashion. You know, he's like, hey, let me just give the club that I supposedly support a bit of a heart attack. But, I mean, realistically, I didn't feel like they were really threatened. I think they had like maybe a chance in the first half that Pep made a good save. One more chance in the second half that Pep made another big save. But other than those 2 real opportunities, and of course, in the one that scored, they didn't really do much. It felt like we were pretty in control. Just in typical Inter fashion, we struggled to score. I think we made it a little bit harder on ourselves, more so than Sassuolo making it hard on us. But very happy with the performance. I'd say for 90% of the match, you know, like those last 10 minutes is probably where I had a bit of a change in opinion. Of course, like you said, you know, sweating it out again. And it feels like whenever you go up against Sassuolo, they are primed to equalize, no matter who's on the pitch, no matter who the coach is on the sideline. It could be De Zerbi, it could be Dionisi, or now Grosso. It's not going to be easy for whatever reason. They really are like a bugaboo team for us, whatever else you want to call it. But in terms of the curva, you know what? I'm getting kind of tired of them. I'm going to be honest. Like, I think it's just ridiculous, their whole reasoning. And, you know, I agree with parts of it, but then there's other parts where I'm just like, if this is the club, like, I'm sorry, but if I lived in Milano, I love this club. Yeah. I don't care what else is going on. If I can go to every game, I would go to every game. We would be recording these episodes like an hour, 2 hours after the game ended, to be quite honest.
2 hours because by the time we'd get out of there.
Yeah, like by the time we got out of there, and maybe like if we were together, we'd probably go grab a beer and talk some shit. And that's really it. Like, I wouldn't be protesting against. It's one thing if you feel a certain way about the management, and you could do that. You could protest them with signs. You could protest them with chants. You could do all different types of things. But when those players, and yeah, but like, show up. When your players are on the pitch, show up, support them. They like, those voices can be such a difference in the outcome of the game. It could boost morale. It could encourage teams to go on. It could rejuvenate a squad if you give up a leg, whatever it may be. And it just feels like, they're just being petty right now. And it's like, just get over it and get out there.
It's interesting that you say that, because I had the same thought of like, I would not be able to keep myself away from the stadium. And they were showing the tickets that were available, and there's like €10 tickets, €47 tickets, €67 tickets. Like I would be there, every possible time. And I understand that the curva is different than the rest of the crowd, but like even the rest of the crowd didn't fill things up. I don't know, what the official capacity was by the time the game started, but it did feel low energy from the crowd, especially in that first half was really rough and noticeable. And before the game, the curva, they put out their banner, and Kivu had mentioned like, we want you guys here, and they basically said, a message to the board and to management, like, be like Kivu. And like, I don't know, I think the management wants you guys there too. There's certain people that aren't allowed to come to the stadium for whatever connections and whatever ties that there are. Like, I don't know, these clubs have like professional responsibilities that they have to hang on. They can't get in trouble with the authorities. They can't get in trouble with, certain aspects of the government, even by associating with members. And look, like, curva history is very long. I obviously, support this team and support the fans who stand behind it week in and week out. But I think all of that is to say, I'm really hoping for a resolution soon. I think the rising ticket prices thing is like, think of what it costs to go to a game in America. Like, it's fucking terrible. And there's €10 seats out there. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get into like a socioeconomic discussion about it, but I feel like the prices go up year after year for everything. Every single thing in this world is cheaper next year than it is today. It just is. So, I don't know exactly the resolution to this, but I do know that it felt like it had a bit of an effect on the game. Would I be wrong to say that Inter have been the better team in all 5 of their matches played this season?
You know what? I'll be honest. I don't know about the Juve game. I don't know if we were the better team there. I think we maybe had the better opportunities in that match. I think there was a lot of times where we just allowed Juve to kind of control it. And, when you give up those chances and you have those lapses in judgment, I feel like they didn't have lapses in judgment. They had us scoring wonder goals to be able to take the lead. I feel like we had moments where our midfielders fell asleep, specifically Hakan, really allowing guys to get space and time. Akanji had instances first game, so maybe, I don't want to be too harsh, but it's like, I don't know. I would say it's wrong, but I could be swayed the other way, to be quite honest. So
I think we were the better team in every single game so far, and at the very least, I think that we deserved a result in every single game that we've played so far, which, I don't think that this 2-1 win over Sassuolo is really going to keep the fans back who are really scared about where this team is going to be this year. But, they were dominant. And I think the same way against Ajax, where people were saying, you got a 2-0 win, but it was on two set pieces. They created a ton in that Ajax game. Like, Thuram should have had a goal. Dumfries should have had a goal. Barella should have had a goal. It was the same thing today. Like, obviously they scored open play goals, but they could have had 4 or 5 today. Pio should have had 2 by himself. Fratesi, Luis Enrique, Thuram in the first half. I think the only reason that it doesn't feel as good as it probably should feel, or as these performances should feel, or that we're not making the most of our chances. We're leaving way too much on the field in terms of goals. And I think that's the biggest thing that is keeping fans from getting excited about these results.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair to say. I think it's not that I'm not getting excited about these results. I just think that I am a little bit more cautious. I know, like, there was obviously instances where we went up, in the game against Torino 5-0, where I thought this team might never lose a game. And I even said it on the first episode, but I think now I need to manage expectations a little bit more. I still think that there is loads of potential here. And this is a squad that I think could definitely compete for the title. But it's also like, do I want to get ahead of myself and put unnecessary pressure on them? Not that they are going to feel it from me in any way, shape, or form. But like, I just want to, make sure that this is something that we can definitely do. We can definitely achieve our goals, and we have the squad depth. It's just is Kivu going to be able to push the right buttons throughout the season? Is he going to be able to keep them motivated? I will say, I think we have to give Kivu a little bit of a tip of the cap for this one, because I feel like in years past, once we gave up a goal to Sassuolo, we would have collapsed. No offense to Inzaghi, and I'm sure there are some big Inzaghi fans, and there are obviously, we see it in our comments post episodes, how people feel about how we defend Kivu.
It's very strange.
Very, very odd. But they'll probably be those individuals will probably be the same ones who are defending Inzaghi for dropping points against Sassuolo and trying to point the blame at players, where I think, when you have a coach who was a mentality monster, if you really want to look at it, and the way that he was able to galvanize, his teammates, galvanize himself, like get himself, into a place to even if you think about it, recovering from that horrific head injury, and the way that he was able to bounce back and just still be a pillar in that back line for us. I think that type of mentality will go a long way, and we will be able to grind out these types of wins. Yes, it didn't happen against Juve, but I also think that was a lot of stuff that was out of his control in some ways. Like you can't put that loss solely on Kivu when you look at the goals that were given up, right? So, whereas you could also definitely look at the way that we were able to I thought we were able to be composed in those last 10 minutes. Yes, it was nervy in the sense that we know what Sassuolo has done to us in the past, but I didn't really feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen again, if that makes sense.
It does. And I also think that the shakiness after going 2-0 up and letting up a goal 3 minutes later, it's the players on the pitch. It's not the coach or the coach's mentality. It's that certain players do turn off. And unfortunately, it's some of the veterans and some of the older players that are at fault there. And we'll get into all that. Before we get into the player performances, because this is really what I want to talk about. When Berardi rips that shot with 4 minutes left, near post, and Pep gets down to it, how nervous were you about that? This is not a shot at Sommer, but I almost feel like it would have gotten past him.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I definitely was a little concerned. There was, even though the header was kind of at him, the one that was a little dangerous there in the second half, I also think that his reflexes allowed him to make that save. And I think, had Sommer been in there, I don't know if he would have been as quick to react in that instance. Maybe he would have, because it was more directed centrally, but I think, Pep was great. I thought he defended his near post well, because even in that first half chance, he got down fast and was secure with it, like didn't allow for a rebound and you know how I feel about rebound control, but he didn't allow for the ball to ping into the 6-yard box there. So, yeah, fantastic job by him. I can't fault him for the goal, because, that's just a perfectly weighted pass by Berardi, a greatly timed run. I thought he was off, and then when you see the replay, he clearly wasn't. But yeah, it definitely feels good to have Pep Martinez there, and I hope that his haters also recognize that it's like, this guy is a talented goalkeeper. He is a talented shot stopper. He's a great distributor. Like, let's
very comfortable. Wants the ball. Wants to be involved in possession.
Like, can we give him a chance? Can we give him a chance? Like, we saw it's, and I know people are gonna like get mad, and I hope that we can talk about something else later on in the episode, specifically with Diouf and Henrique. But
sure,
people get mad about the way I wanted to write off Diouf or Luis Henrique. There's a reason for that, and we can go into that later. But the same people who want to defend Diouf and Henrique are also the same people who want to cast away Pep Martinez and go for another goalkeeper. It doesn't make sense. And at least I have like a legitimate reason. Whether you agree with it or not, that's up to you. Like that's fine too. Like, again, I don't expect everyone to listen to this podcast and think, oh my God, Gianmarco is the only voice that should be listened to on Inter Twitter. That's not how I feel.
You may not want that, but unfortunately,
I definitely
that is the reality of the situation. Unfortunately for you,
I mean, I definitely don't want that, or maybe I do want that. Actually, I wouldn't mind being the voice of Inter Twitter. But anyway, yeah, I just think Pep is a guy who I think is more than capable and ready to step into the starter role. And if Kivu, after seeing this performance, thinks maybe I should let him be the guy the rest of it, I would not be upset by it in any way, shape, or form. And that also gives your management a bit of a way out, or an easier thing to go to with contract negotiations, because he is due for a renewal for next season. Then you can say, hey, Kivu already looks at you as the backup, so you could either stay as the backup here, or if you want to go, and then we'll figure that out in the summer. But yeah, that's I love what I saw from him today, and I am so glad. I think it's $14-15 million, whatever you want to say, well spent.
Let's talk about this guy. First half, there was 2 attempts. One ended up being offside, but it was the Loriente attempt at the near post that he saves with his feet. It ends up being offside, but that is a dangerous situation right there.
With a dangerous player.
With a dangerous player, looks cool, calm, and collected, and obviously had the reflexes to save that with his feet. I want to read to you the shots that he faced today. The XG of those shots. So expected goals is based on the position of where the shot is taken, how often that situation actually ends up in a goal. And then there's something called XGOT, expected goals on target. And that shows there's the position of the shot, and then XGOT is how well a player does with that specific effort. So, for example, in the first half, in the 9th minute, there was a shot that was worth 0.03 XG, but the shot was better than what the actual attempt was better than what that shot was worth. It was 0.008. 52nd minute, 0.03 XG again, 0.03 XGOT. So it did about as well as you can do with that. XG 0.09, XGOT 0.29, XG 0.61, XGOT 0.98. That's in the 84th minute. And XG 0.01, XGOT 0.09. So basically every single attempt that they had, Sassuolo outperformed the XG with the attempt. So he was facing players who were doing better with that attempt than what that situation usually ends up in. And I thought he handled it really, really well. The reason why that save on Pinamonti looked easier on the replay is because of his reflexes and also his size. He's 6'3". He's a perfect physical profile for a keeper. It felt safe with him back there. Not that Sassuolo created a lot. And also just in terms of the distribution, bought into what Kivu was preaching, which is to get the ball into the final third. He was putting them right on Pio's chest. He was putting them, right to Barella. I thought he was great today. And I don't know what more you would need to see in order to give him the starting spot at this point. Ambrosini in the pregame said that this is Sommer's spot. There's nothing that Martinez can do. And he's just going to get spot starts throughout the season. So my question for you is, do you believe that? Like, do you buy into the fact that Sommer is the starter? And the only way they can move off of Sommer is not performances that Pep can put in, but it would have to be a collapse on Sommer's part in order to get Pep in there.
Yeah, I'm not buying that personally, and I'm just looking at like some of the stats from today and stuff, and like I think that's good to say. I feel like you have to say that when you're out in the public and when you're out in front of the fans and whatever else you want to look at, to kind of also shield, in my opinion, you're trying to shield Sommer from any unwanted attention or unwanted mistreatment. But I think it is available for grabs right now, to be quite honest. Like, I think that there is a strong case, a strong opportunity for if Pep Martinez is able to carve out legitimate playing time for himself and also carve out a place in this squad where he is able to show what his value and make it easier for Inter to either A, move on from Sommer, or B, if he does become a colossal flop, to be able to move on to different options or seek out different options. So I mean, people could read into it any way that they want. I think that there's a little bit more to it personally, and I feel like you have to say that to just protect the player. But I don't think that is the end all be all of how things will essentially play out here.
I think these next 3 games are very important to understand the goalkeeping situation. Because if there is rotation in these 3 games, which are Cagliari away, Slavia Prague at home, Cremonese at home, if there is rotation in these games, then I think this might be something that we see throughout the season. If Sommer gets all 3 of these games, I'm going to start to get nervous, because then you have Roma and Napoli in the league. You're away to Union Saint-Gilloise, who, they obviously had a really impressive opener in the Champions League.
Can you say that one more time for me?
Union Saint-Gilloise.
Oof, look at this guy. You hear this guy's pronunciation, people? What an artist.
Listen, after Cagliari and Cremonese in the league, it's Roma, Napoli, Fiorentina. So,
Roma, Napoli.
If he doesn't get these games, does that mean he's going to start getting the big games? Or does that mean we're not going to see him again until the end of October? What would I don't want you to tell me what you would do. I want you to tell me what you think Kivu is going to do with Cagliari away, Slavia at home, Cremonese at home.
I think he's going to go back to Sommer.
Yeah.
So wait, you said Cagliari away.
I think he definitely goes back to Sommer.
Yeah. And then what was the next game?
Slavia at home in the Champions League.
Slavia at home in the Champions League. What it is? I don't know what to expect with Kivu. It's not like we have a history of what he does.
It's only 5 games.
I want to say, and I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like this could be something stupid, but I feel like he could go to Pep in the Champions League and then back to Sommer.
I think that's what's going to happen, because there are reports, which could be completely BS, but there are reports that Kivu wanted to go to Pep in the Champions League, and the reason that he didn't was because he wanted to put Sommer straight back in there to get whatever happened against Juventus out of his system. And if that's believed to be true, then he's viewing Pep as the Champions League keeper. And this is the perfect opportunity to get back on that rotation. You gave him a game in Serie A, you go to Sommer against Cagliari, you go to Pep against Slavia, and then Cremonese and Roma, you go back to Sommer.
Yeah, as much as I don't want that to be the case, I kind of see it playing out that way, unfortunately.
I think that's what's going to happen. And listen, Sommer is still a good keeper. I don't know that this performance from Pep made me feel any differently about what I had in my mind. Was that Pep is probably better at this point, in his prime, ready to take the spot. But Inter and their veterans, right? They'll Inter in the locker room. They don't want to rock the boat too much. All right, keeping from back to front here. This guy comes in for Bastoni. Carlos Augusto had a hell of a game.
What a game!
A hell of a game.
What a game! I'm glad we were able to. We're coming in here and talking about him because, yeah, phenomenal performance. This was the best I've seen him going forward. Wouldn't you agree?
4 shots on goal from the left center back position.
Yeah, like the man seemed possessed, and like I don't know any other way to put it, but it just feels like he was a completely different player than what we've seen. And not that I thought he was bad, but I just felt like I don't know if Kivu instructed him to play this way. I don't know if he's instilled a sense of confidence or of freedom that he's able to go ahead. He's like, hey, like I want you to have the same ability going forward that we allow, or freedom going forward that we allow Bastoni to have. Like, don't feel like you have to play it differently. Now, some may agree or disagree that that's the right, wrong way to go about it. I don't think it really matters. The guy is a fantastic footballer, and I think that he is showing that there are more levels to his game, and he can still take it another notch, which is exciting to see.
He's fighting for his playing time. I mean,
Yeah.
he wants to be in there. It was ballsy of him to get involved, because I don't know a lot of players that would take the chance of like, Berardi is who I'm supposed to be shutting down today, but I'm going to take my chances and get up the field and get involved. And he was a difference maker. Obviously, the goal gets taken away from him, gets changed to an own goal, but that was him going at his man full head of steam. It took the deflection, but 4 shots, 47 of 49 passing, 96% pass accuracy. 2 out of 3 successful dribbles. He was on fire today. I think even defensively, he really stood up. I don't think in the air, his technique is that great. Like, he definitely leads with his arms a little bit, but the will to do it is there. He has value, putting Bastoni on the bench and letting him rest a little bit, and also giving Dimarco an opportunity to rest at times too, because he can play both of these positions very proficiently. Sorry. The entire back line gets a full 90 today. Acerbi, not for me.
I'm glad you're starting to come around.
Not for me.
Glad you're starting to come around.
I do not like that high line, high ball into whoever he's supposed to be marking, and he does this thing where he like wraps his leg around the forward to try to get to the ball first, but the forward always ends up with the ball, and like it's a completely different feel than from De Vrij. When De Vrij steps out, either he's getting the ball or you're going to end up on the ground. Like, he's flattening you. He's not sticking his leg out to get to the ball. Like, he's laying you out. I'm feeling less and less confident about Acerbi. I think this is a spot that needs to be a little bit. There's going to be rotation, but should be 60-40 De Vrij at this point.
I'd go 70-30, but I'm not saying you're off, but I'm just saying for me personally, I would rather it be 70-30 for De Vrij. Yeah, wasn't thrilled with it. And I just feel he just looks so slow out there, like slower even than he was. Like it just listen, and this is the problem that we at Inter have, not just we, as like we hang on to these guys so long sometimes that it's like it almost diminishes the value that they had and the legacy that they have built, whether it's Acerbi, and now you look at Darmian as well. I'm trying to think who else we've hung on to for too long. I mean, Handanovic is another one that stands out. It's like, again, this is on management. You didn't do a good enough job bringing in players who can help alleviate some of these jokes about us having a nursing home here, calling them pensioners. You need to start injecting not just youth, but like talent into this squad that could step in and start right away. Not where we have to constantly be developing players, because then you're banking on the players too, like that they have the want and the drive to become that player. Like, think about the ones that have turned out good, right? You look at Bastoni, Barella, the obvious ones. But then when there's other players that we've purchased with the hopes and anticipations that there would be a crazy level of development, whether it be Aslani, Bisek, stuff like that. Like, listen, I'm not gonna cut, sever ties. I still think Villanova could be something. I just think that Juric is not going to be the guy to get it from him. Even though it worked at Torino, I feel like there was still another level to unlock. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think we need to do a better job of actually developing these young players. I think it was easier for Barella and Bastoni because that they were so talented already, that a little bit of a push, can unlock that. Whereas now, if you go and sign someone like a Zeno de Bast or something like that, you see how they've been able to develop in the Portuguese league, that you can kind of like maybe get them to that next level. Whereas, Aslani wasn't anything, to write home about, and kind of, Bisek came out of nowhere. We just happened to get excited about him, but even that's kind of plateauing at this point, and I don't know if there is going to be any next step for him or next level for him to say.
Yeah, and it's not to say Acerbi played poorly today, but I'm just comparing it to like De Vrij against Weghorst was more impressive than Acerbi against Pinamonti, and Weghorst is like levels better than Pinamonti. So I know it's a different game, but I don't. While we're talking about what the best path forward is for this Inter, I think recent performances are definitely leaning towards De Vrij. Whether Kivu has the courage to make that move, we'll go ahead and see. Akanji, third straight start on the trot here. I thought this was his best game. Some
question.
Some really important defensive interventions. A perfect slide tackle that was called a foul. That it was such an egotistical response from the referee, where he's running over and getting in Akanji's face just because he correctly states that he got all of the ball. He was 97% passing, 57 of 59, pretty damn good, and 3 for 3 on long balls. The more he plays, the better he's starting to look. And these are some big games that he's had to play. They've all been, ones that we really felt like we needed to win. Akanji's doing very well. I wonder if Bisek is going to step in against Cagliari, given how well Cagliari's been playing. And whether Akanji needs the rest or not, but I'm feeling more and more confident about Akanji with each passing game.
Yeah, same here. Look, I wanted the player before. I thought when he was at Dortmund that there was a player there. I thought when he was available for transfer that he was one that we should have targeted, especially given the need that we had at center back. Yeah, we're getting him now. Yeah, it may feel like, it's a little too late or whatever. Like, he's still only 30 years old. Like, center backs still have a lot of legs. I mean, not saying he's on Maldini's level, but you could still be playing at elite level, at that age, if you have a little bit of pace and you have the mentality. So, yeah, not going to. Excuse me. Oh man, like, I've been up since 5 a.m. Eastern time.
Don't worry about it.
Had to wake up from Louisville and fly out to Vegas after our game. But anyway, yeah, exhausted. But Yeah, Akanji, very happy with his performance. I think he's starting to feel acclimated to not just the league, but the team as well, which I think is important. When you understand like what your teammates are doing and what to expect from them and kind of how they're going to position themselves, you don't feel like you have to do this like crazy amount of work to cover for something. So, yeah,
Is
this
it
was his
too
best
early?
one.
Is it too early to say he's a better fit for this team than Pavard? Because I think he is.
I think it's... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think he is for two reasons. One, he gets the ball up the pitch through his passing, not his dribbling. And I think that that's what Kivu wants. Like, get the ball into the final third quickly. He can hit a better long ball. And the second reason is the versatility to be able to kick inside if necessary. I think he's a better fit for this team already. But, just his third game in an Inter kit.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready to do that just yet. I think we need to see a little bit more, maybe a little bit more help in the attacking third, providing some assists, releasing some passes. Excuse me, man. I'm so sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that I think when the signing was almost made, it made more sense to go for Akanji than Pavard. You know what? Maybe I'll say Akanji fits Kivu's style better than Pavard does. Is that okay to say? Maybe that's
agree.
the way to go about it.
I agree.
I think that makes more sense than saying it's
like he's a better player than Yep. Do you think we're going to see him kick inside anytime soon, or as long as Achebe and De Vrij are healthy, they're going to be the ones rotating there? I would like to see what it looks like with Akanji, Pisek, Bastoni, but do you think that that's going to be something that we'll see anytime soon?
I think we will see it. I don't know when. I don't know if he's going to allow them to get a few more training sessions in and be able to have that chemistry built up. It'll be interesting to see, when does he decide to throw that out there? Is it going to be this game in the Champions League? Is it going to be, a game against Pisa or something to kind of see how it feels? Not sure, but yeah, dude, I don't know what's going on here, but I am. I'm definitely interested to see when he decides to bust that out.
All right, let's go to the wingbacks. Guess what minute Dimarco got his yellow card in?
Oh, dang. 64?
58th minute. Guess how many minutes Dimarco played tonight?
90?
90. So Dimarco was on the pitch with a yellow card.
Oh, you're trying to get. Yes.
For 30 plus minutes.
So is this your way of saying we should have subbed him out?
I'm just shocked. Was not seeing this. Hakan got his yellow card early in the first half. Played 65 minutes today.
Yep.
I think it's safe to say that the whole yellow card and you're off the pitch rule is out of the way now.
And thank God, right? Like,
and it's benefiting the team because these guys are professionals and they can play the way that they need to play without the fear of getting the red or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that one, it allows your players to feel a sense of trust. I think another thing that it also does is it doesn't take your best players off in key moments, right? We saw last year how many times Inzaghi decided to take Bastoni off of the pitch because he had a yellow, and as soon as he came off, we conceded a goal. If you're able to leave your best players on the pitch, you should be able to perform, which I'm thrilled to see. Obviously, we want to have our best guys out there when the match is on the line, and yeah, thankfully, Kivu does not seem to be a yellow card tyrant. Maybe you be a less risk less of a risk taker when you're going up against the Napolis and the Juves, and you want to be careful because you know how refs are in the Serie A. Maybe he has a little bit of a different mindset there, but I'm glad that he stuck with the guys today.
Best performance of the season for Federico. Obviously, he had the goal, 3 chances created, 2 shots on target, and didn't look dead after the 60th minute. Looked like he had the legs for it, which I thought was really positive to see. Combined with Sucic brilliantly on the goal that he scored, and we'll get to your boy in a little bit here. But Dimarco, very, very encouraging performance. Dumfries had his moments, but looked like after he got the knock in the first half that he wasn't as effective. We could have done a little bit better with the chances that he did create, but it looked like he was hobbling. If he's out for any period of time, after seeing Luis Enrique for 25 minutes, and I think this is where maybe we can get into a little bit of the discussion that you wanted to have earlier, how do you feel Luis did on the pitch his first major minutes? It was a key moment of the game to come in the 65th. We hadn't scored the second goal yet, and we may be seeing more of him depending on how things look with Dumfries.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's big for confidence to get out there and get minutes in a game like this, especially when the 3 points aren't wrapped up, where you're not just coming in to see out the result. Look, I don't think he did anything extraordinary, anything that really jumps off the page. I do think that it was pretty solid. I think the only thing that I was upset about was when he did take the shot, which it's kind of a double-edged sword for me because I'm happy he feels the confidence to take a shot in that instance, but I also think the smart play was to pass it there to potentially get a third. I don't remember if it was
he should have cut
Sucic or Lautaro who was coming in. Was it Francesco?
Yep.
Okay,
Francesco
all right.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it would have been better to try to get it to him there, and then maybe you have a goal, and who knows now if you did do that, now you have an assist that ups your confidence, but. Whatever. We got the 3 points, so I think had we not, or had Sassuolo been able to equalize, maybe I would feel differently for sure about him. But yeah, I think that it was nice to see for certain that he did get some minutes in a key moment.
He looked more Brazilian after his first several touches, which tells me that he's a bit of a confidence player and he needed to get those first few touches out of the way. He did, go with his take on attempts. I forget who on Sassuolo he made look like a little kid, but he did beat his same man twice. Which is, fun for showboating. Obviously, not necessarily the highest IQ play to go back at a player twice. But, his confidence was definitely building. I thought there was one instance where he tried to get a little bit cute dribbling out of our area. I don't want him taking those chances. If you're past the half field mark, take on whoever you want to take on. If you're 16 yards away from your goalkeeper, get that ball out of there. I do not care about you trying to beat your man in that instance. But I thought he looked promising. He definitely needs more time. The same way that Dumfries took a long time before he hit his stride. And I think if you want to have the Luis Enrique Juve conversation now, I'm happy to get into it. I will say before you even give your piece here, for me, I'll go right back to this Dumfries conversation where when his Inter career first got started, it did not look good. Obviously, we were both not big proponents of him. We were encouraging that Darmian get minutes over him. We wanted Bellanova to get minutes over him. Eventually, he hit his stride and he became a big contributor. That's a good reason for me not to rule anything out as far as a player is concerned. But I can also say that while acknowledging that the money doesn't necessarily make the most sense. I'm not saying that he is not going to come good for Inter. But as far as like,
Same.
did we use that money effectively? Remains to be seen. 25 million is going to be a lot for a backup right wing back to live up to.
And that is my only argument. It's not that I dislike Diouf. It's not that I dislike Luis Enrique. All I was saying was fans were clamoring and getting upset that we weren't locking up Lookman, that we wouldn't go up to the 50 million. Well, you sign Andy Diouf, who, I mean, granted, that came out of nowhere. Now, it's not at the level of signing Ashraf Hakimi out of nowhere, because that's something that everybody was excited about. You know, listen, credit to Uncle Sharma for doing a nice little video on Andy Diouf. I still wasn't excited based on what I saw. And the same thing with Luis Enrique, but that was even before Sharma did anything. Like, I didn't see anything that excited me. It kind of gave me the same vibes that I had with Joao Mario when we signed him. I just didn't get excited. Now, that doesn't mean that those guys won't develop and become good players and key contributors for this club at some point. What I was saying was, we don't have if we knew we were trying to push Aslani out all summer, we don't sign a legitimate replacement for him, or someone who can step in and be cover for Hakan in the regista role, it's not ideal to put Barella there. Yes, he can do it, but it's not ideal to have him there. Now, people are going to come back and say, oh, but he wouldn't get these minutes at Inter that he's getting at Club Brugge. Yeah, very, very fair. But I thought, you have Stankovic there now. You can play him in that role if needed. Now, is it great that he's getting Champions League experience, that he's having good performances there in the league, where he's scoring key goals, he's having big assists? I thought that he was one of the better midfielders. Obviously, Vankanen won man of the match for them in the Champions League match. But I think had Stankovic finished that header opportunity that he put just wide, and he gets on the score sheet there, he might go on to win based on what he was doing. Granted, that's at Club Brugge. It's different than playing for Inter, sure. But when you have a father like Dejan Stankovic, who was a key contributor, who has a good relationship with Kivu, who's actually played for Kivu before on the Primavera level, why, instead of buying another midfielder who is, listen, Andy Diouf may have more pace, but in terms of what he brings, he has similar characteristics to almost every other midfielder that we have currently playing in the Mezzala roles. You could take pieces from Mkhitaryan, you could take pieces from Sucic, Zielinski, you could take pieces from, obviously, Barella and Fratesi even. They are also all ahead of him in the pecking order, whereas there's no one really back there to cover for Hakan. That was my first thing. And now, if we want to bring Stankovic back, we have to dish out an additional $14 to $15 million, depending on how exactly we were. I mean, they say we earn 19. We're supposed to get 20 or pay 23 to get him back, and then 25, I believe it goes to in the second year.
It's like essentially you're paying 14 or 15 to Bruges in order for them to develop him into.
Yeah, which, sure, that's great and all, but it's like we basically had to spend 23 million plus this 14 to do it. If you want to look at it mathematically, I'm not saying obviously it's not a straight swap for swap, but I just feel like that there was no need there. Now, my other one is you have Nikola Zalewski, who could play on the left, who could play on the right, who could play as a Mezzala. You bought him for $7 million. Great piece of business. Excited. I think we as Interisti, we're all excited about being able to keep him. We were all clamoring to keep him. And then you go and sign Luis Enrique for $25 million, and then you sell Zalewski for, what was it, 16? 17? So you make $11 million.
Bought for 6.5, sold for 17.
So you hardly make anything of note, really. Yes, you basically got him 11 for 6 months of work, which some will be like, oh, it's a positive spin. But it's like,
he did get hurt today. Not that it really changes the argument. But for people that,
but would he have gotten hurt with us? We don't know. Like you can't, we don't know. I just don't understand where you spend $48 million when you had two players already here who essentially would have been players that you could have been utilizing. You could have had that $48 million plus what you were willing to spend on Lookman. You could have easily just bought Lookman and still kept these two players. I just think it's poor management. I'm not saying the signings were wrong. I'm not saying I don't want them to come good.
Yep.
I feel like I'm hitting my head against a wall when I have to say this a million times. I don't want players to fail at Inter. It doesn't do us as a club any good if they fail. But it just doesn't make sense when you have solutions already in your house to then go buy other things. Like, we had a more glaring need at center back. If we really wanted a player to sit behind the strikers, that was a more glaring need. Now it's like you still have a shortage of of center back. And where's the money going to come from? What's going to happen? Are we going to have to turn around now and sell Sucic next summer to then go replace, a center back? Like, I just hope that's not.
You have to essentially get Mickey. Mickey's going to be off the books, but you probably also have to get Chala off the books. You have to get those salaries out of the door.
Without a question. And for that to happen, like, that's the only way you can make a Stankovic make sense to bring back at that time, unless you let him, marinate another year. But regardless, it's not that I want these guys to fail or I don't want them or that. I think, I don't know. One guy was like, yo, why are you rooting against your own player? Like, that's not the case. I'm just saying, like, it just didn't make sense from a financial standpoint. It didn't make sense from a tactical standpoint, because it's not like, all right, maybe Juve makes more sense because it is a different profile. But
he's a left-sided Fratesi at this point.
But it's like, I just don't understand the bringing of Luis Enrique and letting Zalewski leave. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever.
I agree with the criticism of management, and I think it's also, and I agree with what you're saying about this commentary shouldn't have anything to do with condemning the players. It's a different thing to say, I think management should have spent the money better than calling Luis Enrique Dalbert or saying stuff like we have 50 million rotting on the bench. It's 5 games into the season. Like, we don't know what these players are going to look like when it's 20, 25 games into the season and they're getting more playing time. So again, no one should be going at the players. But as the season wears on, like you do start to, the same criticism that you had over the summer makes its way into a season for a management team that is going to be, it's Kivu that's going to be gets the questions about Luis Enrique and Juve in the press conferences, and he shouldn't have to. He's getting those questions because it's 50 million that was spent this summer that hasn't had an impact on the pitch yet. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, the only thing that should matter for him is, like, put the players on the pitch in order to do the best for Inter. That's the only thing. He shouldn't be getting questions about why is there 50 million sitting on the bench. Direct that at Marotta. That's the key distinction here. Moving to the midfield. The midfield that we wanted coming into this year, Sucic, Chala, Barella, they got 65 minutes on the pitch together today. Barella and Sucic went the full 90. Chala went 65. Obviously, Sucic gets the assist. Johnny, talk to me about this midfield as a whole, how they played together. Sucic did play on the left side. It wasn't a switch, even though, I think a lot of people are more confident that Sucic is better on the right-hand side. But talk to me about this midfield as a whole, and then we'll get into them individually.
Yeah, no. As a whole, I love this team. This trio in the midfield, I think that they all played very well together. I thought I saw a lot of good movement, a lot of good finding their teammates in space. I feel like there was a good communication and good connection between all three of them. If you look at the build-up in the first goal, Barella is able to release Sucic there, who lays it off beautifully for Dimarco. I thought it was great. I didn't really see a lot of things that, gave me cause for concern. I think Sucic looked comfortable on the left side. I know, we were thinking that he was only going to be able to play on the right side, but I thought he did great. And then when he did get to switch to the right, I thought he did great there too. This is what we wanted. This is what we hope to see more of. Obviously, this is just a glimpse of what we can have with these guys, and we got to see it for 65 minutes. And I think that this could be a very fruitful midfield three, and I think this could be like the most diverse three that we've had at Inter since we had the Barella, Brozovic, Eriksson one, in my opinion.
Bingo. All three of these guys can rotate into each other's roles seamlessly. All three of them can do that. When Chala steps up, Barella can drop into Regista into the hole. Same thing with Sucic. And these guys can rotate and play off each other and allow each other to step up into different roles. I think that ultimately is what makes this trio potentially very devastating. Now, they need to play more with each other in order for that to, come to fruition. But the early signs are definitely encouraging. I thought Sucic was great. Was great today without even having looked at the numbers. I just looked at the numbers, before I get into it, because the numbers say he was even better than my eyes were telling me. But what my eyes told me was get him the ball more often. He looks super comfortable with the ball at his feet. It's never, the touches are never out of reach for him. The ball is always like right on his feet. Everything that he does to set up his next pass, whatever, it just looks so under control. And I want to see him get the ball more often because I want to see him combine with the forwards and run into the box. And I think he can start scoring goals. I think he can be like a 10-goal-a-season midfielder. And I want him to get those opportunities closer to net and really show what he can do. Johnny, listen to these numbers here. 35 out of 36 passing, 97%. 4 chances created, 1 of 2 successful dribbles, 6 for 6 on long balls, 100% accuracy. The defensive stuff doesn't look as great. 4 out of 10 ground duels, and he was dribbled past twice. But that's what I'm saying. Like, further up the pitch, let him combine with the likes of a Pio Esposito, the same way that, they scored that goal against, was it River or Urawa? I think it was River, where they had that combination where they scored that. But the numbers are even better for Sucic today.
Yeah, no, I look at the numbers as well, even before you brought him up. So I saw that and I was like, man, this guy's like even better than I thought he was going to be. And I am thrilled. Obviously, everybody knows everyone who knows me knows how much I rate Croatian midfielders and how much I love, these guys, whether it's Sucic and Baturina or even, before with Kovacic and Brozovic, and Perisic was one of my favorite players to ever play for Inter. Probably in my top 10. I'm not going to say 8. But anyway, it's great to see that this guy is performing even higher than I expected, to be quite honest. And when you have somebody like this, I think it's important to give him the minutes to be able to continue to develop and grow his game. And once he is confident to start ripping shots, watch out, man, because I think that this guy is going to start like lighting up the league. I'm hopeful maybe he waits till the end of the year to start scoring. That way we can hang on to him a little bit longer before a team like Brighton Hove Albion comes in with like an $80 million offer. But yeah, he's one that I hope can be a stalwart for this midfield for years to come. And being only 21, I mean, he should have, 10, 12 more years at this club easily.
Chala and Barella, both pretty good performances. I think with Barella, there were a couple more giveaways than usual, but the ball was getting to him and he was making plays with it. There were just a couple times where I don't know if these guys are not calling Uomo and he doesn't realize that he's got a man on him, but sometimes he needs to get the ball off his feet quicker. Chala with another really good performance today. Given the games that are coming in here and given the minutes, Chala comes out in the 65th, and that tells me that he's probably going to get the start again against Cagliari. Sucic and Barella with the 90. He's probably going to put Mickey in there. So does that mean Barella finally gets some rest against Cagliari and it goes Chala, Sucic on the right-hand side, Mickey on the left?
Is the game at Cagliari?
It's at Cagliari.
Then he's not resting Barella.
Oh, God. I think he needs it. I really do.
I don't disagree. I think he 100% needs it. But you're not going to get the kid from Sardinia to not be able to play for Cagliari. Like at Cagliari, you know, like that's home. His family's gonna be there, friends are gonna be there. I'm sure he's gonna be pining to play that game. I think Barella is unfortunately gonna be used that game.
Yeah, he is.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm trying to romanticize this, that it's like, oh, it's a homecoming, even though he's come home a dozen times or whatever, 6 times since then, whatever. You know, it'll be actually it might even be anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll have to see what Kivu decides to do. I agree. I think it's important that Barella and Sucic get a rest this game. You want to have them. It's a long season. We all know this. Like I ideally would rather see, hey, maybe Cagliari is a great game to give Andy Diouf starting minutes. And you can go Mkhitaryan and Diouf on that one, or Mkhitaryan and Fratesi, whichever
Zielinski.
Oh my God, I forgot. How did I forget Zielinski? Yes, I'd like to see Zielinski start because, I mean, one, he's looked great every game he's played this year, and he seems to have a point to prove as well. And he says he wants to show Interisti why he was brought in and that he could still, you know, offer something. And, you know,
I think he can.
100% think he can.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see that combination against Cagliari. Let's get to the forwards. All 4 of them played today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to touch on Fratesi? It's not really much.
Not really much to touch on.
Yep, 3 of 4 passing in 25 minutes. So more of the same.
Yep.
More of the same. Disallowed goal for being offsides. We aren't getting those replays quick enough. On the Chedira goal and on the Fratesi goal, we are not getting those replays quick enough, and it bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah,
it doesn't help with the trust situation. Anyway, same forwards that started against Ajax start today against Sassuolo. Pio goes 77 minutes. I thought he was really good again today too. Bit of a different game from him. They weren't able to find him as much as they did against Ajax, but he created 2 opportunities for himself that he really should have put away. He skied both of them, one over the bar, one wide left. He's got to stop, leaning back when he's shooting. He's also got to take. It's like a pitcher that takes a few miles an hour off their fastball. Sometimes he's trying to hit it. He's trying to roof that into the back of the net, but really encouraging performance, and he gets the standing O when he gets subbed out in the 77th minute. Thuram had his opportunity in the first half, definitely faded, was definitely tired, but he comes out in the 64th. And Lautaro Martinez, this is who I want to talk about right now. 64th minute, 25 minutes on the pitch, closer to 30 actually with the extra time. Looks not 100%, no?
No, he definitely doesn't. I mean, I know they said it was his back, so yeah, maybe that is just a lingering thing. If he's got a bit of a knock, I don't see what would have been the harm in playing Pio. He's young. He's got legs for days. He should be able to go as much as needed. And yeah, it's not a cause for concern yet. I just hope that this doesn't become something that continues to dwell and makes it even harder for us to figure out what's going on with him.
I think he's got this thing where he came back for the Barcelona second leg after being pretty hobbled, and I think he now looks at like any injury that's not as bad as that one was, that he's got to force himself back. But I don't think he really needed to do that. I know he's the captain, but I just don't take risk with it. again, like 50 games this year potentially. So take it easy, dude. Didn't look great when he came on. Same thing for Bundy. I just didn't think Bundy was like just not involved at all. What did he have? 6 touches. So at that point in the game, they probably took their foot off the gas a little bit, and the ball wasn't running through them. But not a lack of confidence in Bundy. Kivu doesn't use all 5 of his subs. Is he making a mistake there?
Maybe not in this game, but if it becomes something that he continues to do going forward, it might become a problem. I feel like you have, why not throw Diouf on? Why not throw Zielinski on? Are you preserving them for this game coming up? Then all right, maybe I'll feel a little bit differently. But you could definitely use. I
think he was terrified of throwing away this game. That's why I didn't see those
very
players.
well could have been, and maybe he was worried that bringing on the wrong person. Or taking off a person who is still having an impact could have, been a huge mistake.
Yep, agreed. All right, anything else about this game that you want to get into?
No. Yeah,
before we get to the listener questions? Okay. Listener questions. First up, Jerk Bag Jerk. Can we get more Sucic all the time, please?
Yes, sir. I agree. 100%.
Yep. How impressive was Luis Enrique today? I think we both thought he did well. Has some things to clean up, but he can do better. And he also did well. So at Frank Sinopoli, good game. Felt the tide turning in the end along with my stomach. That Pio bicycle kick would have been crazy. Oh, yeah. That was 3 chances that he had.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one. Need him to score. He wants it so bad, and I also think the way that he would lose his mind and the way that
the fans would lose their minds if he did that.
100%. He's got first goal's got to be at the San Siro.
It has to be. Anywhere else would be. I mean,
travesty.
I'm sure he doesn't care where it is, which I get it. But yeah, ideally, I would like to see it happen with him at the San Siro.
Napoli away would be a good time to get it first. But anyway.
For vibes for sure.
Yes, that Andre is sweating the last 10 minutes part of Inter's DNA. Anything to learn from Enrique's cameo. We talked about Enrique's cameo. I tweeted from our official account, I apologize, Johnny, that I could hear my heartbeat in my ears towards the end of that game because it did look a little shaky at points. And I think if Inter didn't get the win today, we would have come on here and talked about how we're fighting for top 4 and we're not like throw the Scudetto out of the window. And I really didn't want that to be the case.
Yeah, I don't think either of us wanted that to be the situation with this episode in particular.
Intertwined, Sucic, Pio, J. Martin, and Enrique were small wins within the win that we need to feel good about if you feel frustrated about how nervous it got in the end. I think Kivu has something to work with here, and I hope we can be more dynamic utilizing the strengths of our new guys. It does feel that this isn't 100% Kivu ball just yet, right? Like it does feel like we're still working our way into the system. Which is fine. The unfortunate thing is that we put ourselves in a hole early on in the season. So figuring out is one thing, getting results is a whole nother thing, and we need to do both right now. So good win for Inter, +3 on the day. And let's see if we have any speak pipes. No. Wow. Okay, guys. Call into the show sometime. We want to hear from you. 108 minutes here. Anything else, Johnny?
An hour and 8 minutes, guys.
An hour and 8 minutes. See, now I'm starting to fade.
Nothing else to say, man. Listen, glad we got the 3 points. A lot of promising signs, and let's just keep going onward and forward. And hey, you know what, people? Give us. You know what? Don't give us. We've got like people that we want to get on here, that we're trying to get on here, and I'm still trying to figure out this one that kind of made a promise to me that he would come on. He still hasn't come on yet.
I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, maybe we can figure that one out in a better time, or maybe we can just do like a one-off episode that's not anything specific, like when they can find time to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next game is Saturday, so we've got a week off. Beautiful. Needed.
What time is that game?
2:45 on Saturday.
Again? So it's 11:45 for me. Okay.
All right. 3 points for Inter. In the words of the great Roberto Scarpini, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.